welcome to today's video. I have 2 tips to help you guys address fear on a conscious level in your everyday life. So the majority of my work is done in the subconscious level, where we go in and find root cause and address those issues individually on a personal basis. Fear's been coming up a lot in areas that I've been seeing, and I've been able to contribute to those conversations here. And so I wanted to put a video together for you guys. So let's dive right in on 2 tips to help with fear in everyday life. The first scenario was regarding someone that was wanting to get their business off the ground again. And they had admitted that this was like a lot of their issues were mental, were psychological, they were in their mind. It was, this industry isn't stable. I've tried and I didn't get very far. So those were kind of the things that were on autoplay in their mind. And so my response to that is, what I'm hearing from just those short examples is fear coming through. And so the example that I gave back was, and this is just to help kind of make it a little bit more digestible, but when you were 7 years old and you were giving your first book report in front of the class, and you stumbled on a word and the whole class laughed at you so hard, you felt so embarrassed, so ashamed, you felt like you weren't good enough. And you told your mind, you said, I never want to feel these emotions ever again. So what your mind does is it creates a program, a part of you, and its job is to never let you feel those emotions again in regards to that scenario. So it creates this part of you, and anytime you want to go public speaking or put yourself in a similar situation, that part of you says, no, and so fear is the mind's tool to prevent you from experiencing different emotions that you said that you don't want to fear. So let's just say this was a healthy 7-year-old, and healthy, what's healthy, but let's just say that instead of the response to the classmates instead of it being embarrassment, shame, not good enough, those types of emotions, say that 7-year-old said, hey, you guys, wait a second. This is my first time doing this, and I'm trying my best. And of course, I know how to say the word spaghetti. I just stumbled over it because I was really nervous. You guys get up here and do this. So it wasn't even the fact that that child got laughed at. It was the response internally to the laughter. So if that makes sense, we choose in every scenario we're ever given, every experience, every situation, we get to choose how we respond. So if something happens and someone makes me feel embarrassed, ashamed, not good enough, stupid, lazy, that's on me. That's not on them. They can try to say, Abby, why'd you do this? I don't get it. Like, you should have done it this other way. And then I could be like, oh yeah, you're right. I can't believe I didn't even do it that way. I'm so sorry. Or I could be, I was doing it the best way that I knew how. This was the information that was provided at the time, so I just made the best decision I had with the information that was available. Like, I'd be happy to do this differently for you if you want to like set the terms or whatever information I may have been missing before. And so like those are 2 separate emotional responses to the same situation. So where fear comes in, and in my personal experience, I don't think fear is real. I think fear is a tool that the mind has to deter us from things that we've told it we don't want to experience. So, and I've read The Gift of Fear. I haven't read all of it, A Course in Miracles, and that Course in Miracle plug, best book ever, go read it. But that, in that book, it says that fear isn't real, and that Jesus can't, I mean, whatever whatever you believe in, he can't cure you. He can't take fear away from you, because fear isn't real. It's in our mind. So between my reading of that and everything else that I've just kind of put together in my experience, that's kind of where I'm at in the point in my life. You may have different opinions on fear, and that's definitely okay, but that's kind of where I'm at with fear. So that situation's happened. This person has an emotional response of, this is unstable. I've tried and I didn't get very far. Like, why am I trying again? So that's a fear response into potentially not feeling like a failure again. And so the challenge is if you don't want to feel failure, what do you feel instead? Well, I tried, and this wasn't necessarily the result that I wanted, but I learned so much, so I'm going to be able to apply that next time. And just always trying to find the positive lining. In part of my response, I said, be positive to the point where you're borderline narcissistic. Like, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. And that was another lesson that was kind of brought up to my attention recently too, is being positive and not being negative, but have a negative outlook. So, and I'll dive into that just here, a little mini tangent. For the longest time, I liked focusing on the negative because it made me feel like I was solving a problem. And I felt like if I only focused on the positive, I was being not like too optimistic, but like unrealistic, because there's still negatives involved in this scenario, involved in this part of my life. And if I don't acknowledge that they're there, I'm just living a fantasy. And I kind of took that to an extreme where it was not beneficial. Like, I felt productive focusing on the negatives, because it felt like I was making progress by addressing them, but really it was kind of the opposite. It was just filler. So just focus on the positive, and like, if you have kids or if you're around children, really just be your own biggest cheerleader, in the sense, like, when my daughter was teaching herself how to eat, and she'd like get the spoon to her mouth. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so good. That's how we have to treat ourselves. Oh my gosh, Abby, you did so good. Wow. Like, we have to have that energy for ourselves, or else it just becomes too overwhelming. And I can address this in a separate video, and I think I will, but I had the biggest bully in my mind. And so, and humans love to compare and contrast, and it's hard to see how other people talk to themselves in their minds. So it's kind of this like catch-22. We can't model behavior we don't see or experience. So I'm here to tell you, if you're looking for a sign, you have to treat yourself like a 2-year-old learning to feed themselves. Oh my gosh, look what I got done today. That was so productive. Okay, so I got this and this done. This was still on my list, so I'll make it a priority for tomorrow. And if that's the only thing I get done, that's going to be a productive day. And instead of trying to like overload ourselves, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was the only thing I got done today. But it's like, you have to trust yourself and know that you are doing the very best you can. If you lay in bed all weekend, you did the very best you could. Like, a lot of stuff's going on right now, so just have a lot of grace and patience for yourself. Know that you are doing the very best you can. So, kind of a long tangent, didn't really mean to take it that far, but I think I covered everything I wanted in that. Let me just check my notes here really quick. Yeah, so the second part, and this was something that I kind of had personal revelation on as well. So the second part to fear. fear obviously manifests in a lot of ways. So I had a lot of fear regarding like certain scenarios playing out in my life. And it was robbing me of my joy in that moment, in that day, because of the situation that could potentially play out a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, or it could never even happen. But the anxiety of the potentiality of it happening robbed me of joy, of life force, of my energy, brain capacity. And it was just something that I was like in meditation. It hit me and I was like, this could potentially never happen. And when it happens, I can address it then. But it's not going to rob me anymore of being present. And so if there's something like that for you, our emotions are not rational, they're not logical, they are what they are. And so this is just a tip to try and help to start pulling on those threads to unraveling the fear that we've programmed ourselves with. So let's say that you're afraid of getting in a car crash on the interstate potentially one day. So you don't ever take the interstates, you always take the back roads. That's a pretty legitimate example. There are people that have that fear because of a car accident that you were in. So if we could logically address that, what would that look like? It would be, okay, these are the statistics of car crashes. This is the statistic on maybe this stretch of road. Let's say you caused the accident. So you don't trust yourself anymore to drive on the interstate. The fear that's being presented is a tool that is being used to deter you from an outcome, from emotions, from causing another accident, from being hospitalized, from having a totaled car, from feeling the embarrassment, the shame, the guilt of doing this to someone else, whatever the case may be. So but if we can unravel those piece by piece, what can we do? What are the statistics? What are the odds of this happening again? Okay, well, I can go take driving classes. I can go practice driving somewhere safe in the rain so I have better skills to do this. I can check the forecast. So if there is inclement weather, I can make other plans. I kind of hope you see where I'm going with this, but the main point is that having fear present itself to a potential situation that could or could never happen is not something that you have to live with. Definitely, I can dive into this a little bit more deeply here, but I think that's kind of where I want to end this miracle. Oh, this miracle. Sorry, I looked down at my notes and it said Course in Miracle. But I think that's where I want to end this video. Obviously, I did make this channel with the intent of providing free resources to people that are looking to better themselves, some personal development, but no, I am here available as a resource for you if you would like more personalized one-on-one sessions. About half of my clientele I do serve virtually, so if it's video sessions, phone sessions, whatever the case may be, just know I am here as a resource for you. My practice is called Courageous Hearts Hypnotherapy. I'll put a link down at the bottom. So if you just want to check out my website, feel free to do that and feel free to contact me. But I hope this video has been useful. Thanks.